Hello, my name is Milo. I'm 33 years old, and if you ask me what I'm most proud of in this life, I wouldn't hesitate to answer. Anna, my daughter. She just turned 5 this year with big round brown eyes, slightly curly hair like her mother's, and a smile that could melt any heart. But life, as I've learned over the years, is never just about sweet moments. Sometimes it's sharp cuts, lingering pain that you never see coming. And my story, Anna's story, begins with those very cuts in a family I once thought was the safest haven. I grew up in a prestigious family in Connecticut, a lineage people spoke of with respect, sometimes tinged with envy. My father, a renowned lawyer, passed away when I was young, leaving my mother, Susan, to carry the weight of the family. She was a strong, sharp woman with eyes that could make you feel as though she saw right through your soul. She built the family's reputation with an iron hand, and no one dared challenge her, not even me. I was the youngest of 4 siblings, and perhaps because of that I always felt the pressure to prove myself worthy of the family name. When I founded my tech startup at 27, my mother was the first to stand behind me, not just with words of encouragement, but with generous investments from the family trust. Thanks to her, my company grew rapidly, and now, at 33, I'm the CEO of a startup valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. But that success never made me forget Vanessa, the woman who changed my life. Vanessa came into my life like a breeze, gentle yet powerful. She was an artist, born in a poor neighborhood in Brooklyn, a place my mother would never set foot in. Vanessa didn't have the glamorous dresses or polished speech of the high society women my mother tried to arrange for me to meet. But she had a big heart, a free spirit, and the way she saw the world made me feel truly alive. I fell in love with her at first sight, and when we got married, I knew my mother wasn't pleased. She didn't say it outright, but her eyes, the way she pursed her lips when I mentioned Vanessa, said it all. "You could have chosen someone better," she once said, her voice soft but cold as ice. "Someone suitable for our family." I brushed off those words, thinking time would change her mind. But I was wrong. Anna, my daughter with Vanessa, was born on a spring day when the cherry blossoms outside the hospital window were in full bloom. Vanessa named her Anna, saying the name meant grace. And Anna truly was a grace, a gift that Vanessa and I never thought we deserved. But that joy didn't last long. After giving birth to Anna, Vanessa's health began to decline. She was diagnosed with a rare illness, and despite my efforts to find the best doctors and spend millions to save her, Vanessa left us when Anna had just turned 4. On the day she passed, I sat by her hospital bed holding her hand and promised to take care of Anna. But I didn't know that promise would be harder to keep than I imagined. My work swept me away like a storm. Late-night meetings, endless business trips, and the pressure to keep the company afloat in a fiercely competitive market left me with little time for Anna. I knew I couldn't let her grow up alone in an empty house, so I asked my mother to care for her. Susan agreed immediately, and I thought it was the right decision. She was my mother, the woman who raised me, and I believed she would love Anna the way she loved me. But once again, I was wrong. Anna was strikingly like her mother, not just in her curly hair or brown eyes, but in the way she smiled, the way she quietly observed the world. Perhaps that's why my mother couldn't love Anna the way she loved her other grandchildren. She looked at Anna and saw Vanessa, the daughter-in-law she never accepted. That resentment, I realized too late, had seeped into the way she treated my daughter. My mother had 3 other grandchildren, the children of my sister Emily and my brother Thomas. They were spoiled, cherished by Susan like precious gems. Every time I visited her house, I saw expensive gifts piling up in the living room. A remote-controlled toy car for James, a dazzling princess dress for Lily, or the latest gaming console for Ethan. Anna, meanwhile, often received a small gift, a used book or a cheap doll that I knew my mother had grabbed from a convenience store. One Christmas, Anna stood quietly watching her cousins open their dazzling gift boxes while her present was a pair of gray mittens, far too big for her tiny hands. I still remember the first time I noticed this unfairness. It was a fall afternoon when I came to pick up Anna after a long day at the company. She was sitting alone on the sofa in my mother's living room, clutching an old teddy bear that Vanessa had sewn for her. In the corner, James and Lily were laughing and playing with their new toys while Susan sat between them, smiling brightly. Anna looked up at me, her eyes glistening but silent. I knelt down, hugged her, and asked, "Are you happy, sweetheart?" Anna nodded, but her smile was faint, as if she was trying to reassure me. "I'm fine, Daddy," she said, her voice tiny. But I knew she wasn't fine. I started paying more attention, and what I saw made my heart ache. Every time I visited, Anna was often alone, quietly playing with old toys or rereading a book she'd gone through dozens of times. Meanwhile, the other grandchildren were taken to the park, bought ice cream, or told cheerful stories by Susan. Anna, on the other hand, was often left with the housekeeper or forgotten in a corner. Once I overheard my mother scolding Anna for accidentally spilling a glass of water at dinner. "Be careful, Anna," she snapped, her voice icy. But when James broke a glass, she just laughed it off and said, "It's okay, it's just a glass." I sat there clenching my fists under the table, trying to suppress my anger. I wanted to stand up to say something, but I stayed silent. I told myself my mother was just strict, that she needed time to accept Anna. I convinced myself things would get better. But Anna, my 5-year-old daughter, was more sensitive and perceptive than I realized. She never complained, never demanded anything. Once I saw her sitting in her room drawing a picture of a little girl standing alone in a corner while other children played around her. I asked who it was, and Anna just gave a sad smile. "It's just a drawing, Daddy." But I knew it was her, the pain she never voiced. Some nights when Anna was fast asleep, I opened the little notebook she called her diary. I knew I shouldn't, but I couldn't help myself. The pages were filled with a 5-year-old's scribbled drawings and words. One picture showed Anna standing alone by a window, watching Susan play with the other grandchildren in the garden. Another depicted the other grandchildren sleeping with Susan on a big bed, while Anna curled up in a far corner as if isolated. One line broke my heart. "Grandma doesn't like me, but I don't want Daddy to be sad." I sat there in the dark, tears streaming down my face. Anna, only 5 years old, had learned to hide her pain to spare me, and that made me feel like a failure as a father. I had let her endure this unfairness just because I didn't want to confront my mother. I told myself I was keeping the peace in the family, but the truth was I was afraid. Afraid of losing my mother's support, afraid of fracturing the relationship with the prestigious family I had leaned on too much. But that moment, holding Anna's diary, I knew I couldn't stay silent anymore. I had to do something, not just for Anna, but for myself. I couldn't let her grow up in an environment where she felt unloved, unworthy. But I didn't know where to start. My mother wasn't someone easily persuaded, and I knew confronting her would come at a cost. As the months passed, the unfairness only became more glaring. Every time I picked Anna up, I saw her becoming more withdrawn, her smiles rarer. I tried to make up for it with evenings together, reading books or baking, but I knew it wasn't enough. Anna needed a real family, not fleeting moments I created to ease my conscience. I began to see that my mother's favoritism wasn't just about gifts or attention. It was in the small, sharp details that cut like a knife. The way she only praised the other grandchildren, the cold tone when she said Anna's name, or the way she always found reasons to scold her. Once, when Anna accidentally dropped a cookie on the floor, Susan said in front of the whole family, "You're so clumsy, just like your mother." That comment stabbed me like a knife. I looked at Anna, saw her eyes welling up, but she just bowed her head and said nothing. I knew I had to act, but I still hesitated, still hoped my mother would change, that she'd see Anna's loveliness and love her like she did the others. I was wrong to think time would heal everything. And then, everything came to a head on Anna's 6th birthday, the day I realized I could no longer stay silent. Anna's 6th birthday arrived on an early autumn morning, when pale golden sunlight filtered through the tree branches outside the window, scattering shimmering patches of light across the wooden floor. I woke up early, my heart brimming with excitement. 6 years old, a significant milestone for any child, and I wanted this day to be special for Anna. I had ordered a strawberry cake, her favorite, adorned with delicate sugar flowers meticulously crafted. I imagined her radiant smile when she saw the cake, and I told myself that today, at least today, Anna would feel completely loved. But I overlooked one thing. The party wasn't being held at my house. My mother, Susan, had insisted on hosting Anna's birthday at her sprawling mansion in Greenwich. "Milo, you're too busy, let me handle it," she said, her tone gentle but leaving no room for argument. I agreed, partly because I was overwhelmed with work, partly because I still clung to a faint hope that my mother would treat Anna fairly on this special day. Once again, I was wrong, and the price of my foolishness was a deep wound carved into my innocent daughter's heart. That day, the party was set up in the garden behind my mother's house, a vast space with meticulously tended flower beds and a luxurious white tent pitched in the middle of the lawn. The table was draped in white silk, laden with elegant treats, colorful macarons, chocolate-dipped cookies, and sparkling fruit juice glasses. Children ran around, their laughter echoing, while adults gathered in clusters, sipping wine and chatting about topics I no longer had the energy to care about. I arrived early carrying my gift for Anna, a music box shaped like a little house, something I had searched for weeks to find because Anna once said she wanted a little house to keep her dreams. As I stepped into the garden, I saw Anna standing in a far corner near the wooden fence, wearing a pale blue cotton dress I had bought her the week before. It wasn't expensive, but Anna looked like a little angel, her curly hair neatly tied with a white ribbon. She was holding a heart-shaped balloon, watching her cousins play with new toys my mother had brought out. I approached, knelt down, and hugged her. "It's your birthday today, sweetheart. Are you excited?" I asked, trying to keep my voice cheerful. Anna smiled, but her eyes couldn't hide her loneliness. "Yes, I'm happy," she said softly, as if afraid of disappointing me. I took her hand and led her to the party table, hoping to draw her into the festive atmosphere. But as I looked around, I noticed something that made my heart sink. Everything about this party wasn't for Anna. On the main table, a large sign bore the name Lily, my mother's eldest granddaughter, Emily's daughter. Lily, 8 years old, stood among the children, beaming in a glittering princess dress my mother had bought from a high-end boutique in Manhattan. Beside her were James and Ethan, my other nephews, showing off their new gifts. A remote-controlled toy car and a massive Lego set. Anna, the supposed star of the day, was like a shadow. There was no sign with her name, no special gift for her, and worse, my mother hadn't even bothered to approach Anna since the party began. I tried to stay calm, telling myself my mother was just busy with guests. I led Anna to where my mother stood chatting with some high society friends. "Mom, Anna wants to thank you for the party," I said, trying to draw her attention to my daughter. My mother turned, giving Anna a forced smile. "Oh, Anna, are you enjoying the party?" she asked, her tone detached, as if fulfilling an obligation. Anna nodded, her eyes downcast, and I felt a spark of anger smoldering in my chest. The party went on, and I began to realize this wasn't Anna's birthday. It was a stage for my mother to showcase her generosity toward her other grandchildren. Susan moved from group to group, boasting about the expensive gifts she'd bought for Lily, James, and Ethan. Lily needed a new dress for her ballet recital, she told a guest, her voice brimming with pride. And James loves cars, so I had to order a special model from Germany. Anna, meanwhile, was handed a cheap plastic doll, the kind I knew my mother had grabbed from a discount bin. Anna held the gift, smiling politely, but I saw her hands tremble slightly as she watched her cousins show off their dazzling toys. I tried to make the day happier for Anna. I played with her, blew up balloons together, and told the silly stories she loved. But every time I looked at her, I saw a lost look in her eyes, as if she was trying to find her place in a world that didn't welcome her. I blamed myself for letting things go this far, for not protecting her from my mother's favoritism. Then, the incident happened, like a sudden storm sweeping through the peaceful garden. I was inside the house cutting a slice of cake for Anna when I heard my mother's voice shouting from the party table. "My ring! Where's my diamond ring?" Her voice was sharp, echoing through the garden, silencing everyone. I rushed outside, my heart pounding, unsure of what was happening. My mother stood in the middle of the crowd, hands on her hips, her eyes scanning the children. "I left it on the table right here," she said, pointing to a small table where she often placed her jewelry while working in the garden. "Who took it? Speak now," people began to whisper, suspicious glances darting around. And then, like a sharp blade, my mother's gaze landed on Anna. "Anna," she called, her voice cold as ice. "Come here." Anna, standing near a flower bed, still clutching her doll, walked slowly toward her. The crowd parted, leaving my tiny daughter alone before Susan. I saw Anna's shoulders tremble, but she held her head up, her big round eyes meeting her grandmother's. "Did you see my ring?" my mother asked, her tone dripping with suspicion. Anna shook her head, her voice small but clear. "No, I didn't take it." But my mother didn't listen. She stepped forward, grabbed Anna's hand, and squeezed it tightly. "Don't lie, you were the only one near that table. Do you think I don't know?" I stood frozen, unable to believe what I was hearing. Anna, my 6-year-old daughter, accused of stealing, in front of everyone on her own birthday? I wanted to rush forward to shout, but my feet felt rooted to the ground. Anna, with the innocence of a child, repeated, "I didn't take it, Grandma." I swear, but my mother, her eyes full of prejudice, didn't believe her. And then, like a nightmare, she raised her hand and slapped Anna, the sound ringing out in the still air. That slap pierced my heart like a knife. Anna stepped back, holding her cheek, her eyes welling up but refusing to cry. The crowd was silent, their gazes a mix of shock and curiosity. And at that moment, I stepped forward, still holding the slice of birthday cake I had carefully prepared for Anna. I saw everything. My daughter, small and hurt, standing before the grandmother who had refused to love her since she was born. Rage surged within me, burning like fire. I set the cake down, strode forward, and pulled Anna into my arms. "What are you doing, Mom?" I shouted, my voice trembling with anger. My mother looked at me, her expression unyielding. "Milo, she took my ring. I'm sure of it." "Anna is not a thief," I roared, holding her tightly. "You have no proof, yet you're ready to slap a 6-year-old just because you don't like her? Because you never accepted her mother?" The words poured out like a river breaking through a dam, all the things I'd suppressed for so long. "You've treated Anna unfairly since she was born. You spoil the other grandchildren, but with Anna, there's only coldness. I know everything, Mom. I've seen it all, and today what you did to her is beyond what I can bear. Enough is enough. I won't tolerate this for another second." My mother stood stunned, her lips pressed tightly together, but she said nothing. I looked around, seeing the eyes of family, friends, and strangers, but I didn't care. All I saw was Anna clinging to me, her small hands gripping my shirt. "If you can't respect my daughter, you're no longer part of our lives," I said, my voice low but resolute. "We're leaving, and don't expect to see Anna again." I picked Anna up, leaving behind the birthday cake, the lavish garden, and walked out of that house. Anna didn't say a word, just wrapped her arms around my neck, her warm breath against my shoulder. I knew this decision would change everything. My family, with all its prestige and financial support, would no longer be my anchor. But as I looked into Anna's eyes, I knew I had done the right thing. For the first time in a long time, I felt like a true father. I carried Anna out of my mother's lavish garden, my steps heavy, but strangely, my heart felt lighter. The strawberry birthday cake still sat on the table, its sugar flowers glistening under the sunlight, but I didn't look back. Anna nestled into my shoulder, her small hands clinging to my shirt, her steady breathing a reminder that I was doing the right thing. We walked through the grand iron gates of the mansion, and as I settled Anna into the back seat of the car, I looked into her eyes. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," I whispered, my voice catching. From now on, it's just you and me, okay? Anna nodded, silent, but her faint smile told me she trusted me. I drove away from Greenwich, the streetlights fading in the rearview mirror, and I knew I wasn't just leaving my mother's house, but an entire world. One of prestige, wealth, and connections I once thought indispensable. Yet glancing at Anna through the mirror, I felt no regret. For the first time, I felt truly free. The next day, my phone buzzed incessantly. Calls from my mother, my sister Emily, my brother Thomas, and messages from relatives I rarely saw. I didn't answer. I didn't want to hear explanations or justifications. But in the afternoon, a message from Maria, my mother's longtime housekeeper, stopped me cold. Milo, I found the diamond ring. It fell under the table in the garden. Anna didn't take it. Mrs. Susan asked me to tell you she's very sorry. Reading the message, a wave of cold fury washed over me. Anna was innocent, as I always knew. But the truth didn't bring relief. It only fueled my anger. Anger at my mother for so quickly accusing Anna, anger at that slap, and anger at myself for letting Anna endure this for so long. I didn't respond to Maria. Instead, I turned off my phone and looked at Anna, playing on the sofa with her angelic smile. Want to draw something today? I asked, sitting beside her, holding the box of crayons she loved. Anna looked up, her eyes a bit brighter than yesterday. I want to draw a house, Daddy, she said. A house with you and me in a little garden. I smiled, though my heart still ached. All right, sweetheart. I'll help you draw it. We sat there, sketching an imaginary house with colorful flowers and a radiant sun in the sky. For the first time in months, I saw Anna's genuine smile, pure, innocent, unforced. In that moment, I knew I'd made the right choice, leaving my mother's house. The days that followed weren't easy. My work remained a whirlwind. As CEO of a tech startup, I faced endless meetings, demanding investors and the pressure to compete with formidable rivals. Late nights grew more frequent, but I forced myself to carve out time for Anna each day. Every morning I woke early to make her breakfast, usually toast with strawberry jam, which Anna called happy bread. I dropped her off at preschool before heading to the office. After work, no matter how exhausted, I tried to come home early to pick her up, play with her, or simply listen to her talk about her day. Those simple moments became my greatest source of strength. One evening, after Anna had bathed and slipped into her cat-patterned pajamas, I sat beside her on her small bed. Shall I read you a story? I asked, holding her favorite book. A tale of a girl and a rabbit searching for treasure. Anna nodded, snuggling into me, and I began reading, my warm voice filling the room. When I reached the part where the girl found the treasure, not gold or jewels, but a box of beautiful memories, Anna looked up at me. Daddy, I think you're my treasure, she said, her voice clear and bright. I hugged her tighter, tears silently falling. And you're my treasure, I whispered. In that moment, I knew that no matter how tough life got, Anna and I would always have each other. Meanwhile, my mother kept trying to reach me. Calls, messages, even a long handwritten letter sent to my apartment. In it, she wrote that she realized her mistakes, regretted treating Anna unfairly, and wanted to make amends. Milo, I only wanted the best for the family, she wrote. I was wrong to let prejudice blind me. Please let me see Anna. I want to apologize in person. I read the letter, and part of me wanted to believe her. She was my mother, who had sacrificed so much to raise me, who stood by me in my darkest days. But every time I looked at Anna, I remembered the slap on her birthday, the drawings in her diary, and the hurt in her eyes she'd hidden for so long. I couldn't risk Anna being hurt again, so I didn't respond. I tucked the letter into a box along with memories of the family I once thought was everything. As time passed, I saw Anna change. She was no longer as withdrawn. At school, her teacher said Anna was participating more, playing with friends, even volunteering to tell stories in class. One day, when I picked her up, she ran to me, hugged me, and showed off a drawing with a gold star from her teacher. She said I drew the best in class, Anna said, her voice full of pride. I looked at the picture, a field of flowers with two figures holding hands under the sun. and knew Anna was slowly regaining the confidence and security she deserved. We started new routines. On weekends, we made cookies, often ruining a few batches before getting them right. We played tag in the park near our home, laughing until our sides hurt when I pretended to fall so Anna could catch me. Every night before bed, I read to her, or sometimes we made up silly stories about a flying cat or a girl who could talk to trees. Those small moments filled the void in our hearts. Anna stopped mentioning her grandmother or asking about the days at the lavish mansion. Instead, she started talking about the future, how she wanted to be an artist like her mom or a scientist to find ways to make everyone happy. And for the first time in years, I felt I was fulfilling my role as a father. Those months were exhausting but deeply cherished. Our apartment was filled with happiness and laughter. But life, as I had learned from my most painful days, always has a way of delivering unexpected blows, cuts deeper than I could ever imagine. It began on a Saturday morning when Anna and I were making cookies in our cramped kitchen. Anna, wearing an oversized apron loosely tied around her, was carefully sprinkling chocolate chips onto the dough. "Daddy, I want to make a huge cookie to share with my whole class," she said, her eyes sparkling. I laughed, ruffled her hair, and agreed, knowing we'd likely ruin at least one batch before succeeding. But then, amidst the laughter and the warm smell of baking cookies, Anna suddenly stopped, clutching her chest, her face pale. "Daddy, I feel so tired," she whispered before collapsing to the floor. My heart stopped. I rushed to her, scooped her up, calling her name frantically. "Anna, sweetheart, what's wrong? Talk to me." But Anna only gasped for breath, her eyes closed, sweat beading on her forehead. I carried her to the car, driving like a madman to the nearest hospital, my mind blank except for one thought. I can't lose Anna. I can't lose her. At the hospital, after hours of agonizing waiting, the doctor approached with a heavy expression. "Milo, we need to talk," he said, his voice low. I clenched my fists, feeling the world crumbling around me. He led me to a small room, and what he said next stabbed my heart like a knife. Anna had a rare disease, the same one that took Vanessa, her mother, 2 years ago. "It's hereditary," the doctor explained, his voice tinged with regret. "We'll do everything we can, but Anna's condition is serious." I sat there numb, memories of Vanessa flooding back like a nightmare. I remembered her final days lying in a hospital bed, ravaged by illness, frail and weak. I remembered the nights I stayed up praying for a miracle that never came. And now Anna, the only light left in my life, faced the same fate. I felt like I was falling into a bottomless pit of pain and despair. I took Anna to the best hospital in New York with the finest doctors and state-of-the-art equipment. I spent everything I had, even selling part of my company shares to cover the costs. I didn't care about money or prestige anymore. All I wanted was to keep Anna with me. Every day I sat by her bedside, holding her hand, telling her the stories she loved and singing the lullabies Vanessa used to sing to her. Anna, though weakening daily, still smiled at me, still tried to cheer me up. "I'm okay, Daddy," she said, her voice faint. "I just need a little rest." But I knew she wasn't okay. I saw her small body tremble with pain, saw her eyes dim after each treatment. I tried to be strong for her, but every night when she slept, I sat in the hospital corridor, head in my hands, sobbing. I couldn't bear the thought of losing Anna, couldn't bear the helplessness of watching her suffer. One day, as I sat by Anna reading her favorite book about the girl and the rabbit searching for treasure, a nurse came in and said someone wanted to see me. I was surprised to see my mother, Susan, standing at the door holding a bouquet of white daisies, Anna's favorite flower. She looked different, stripped of her usual stern demeanor. Her eyes were red and her voice trembled as she spoke. "Milo, I heard about Anna. I'm sorry, I want to help, to be here for her." I stood, my body rigid. "Why are you here?" I asked coldly. "Do you think a bouquet of flowers can erase what you did to Anna? You slapped her, treated her like an outsider. What do you want now?" My mother bowed her head, tears streaming down her face. "I was wrong, Milo. she said, her voice choking. I let prejudice blind me. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I want to make it right. Please let me care for Anna. Let me have a chance to do the right thing. I wanted to scream to send her away, but then I heard Anna's faint voice from the bed. Her tired eyes lit up slightly when she saw her grandmother. Daddy, she whispered weakly. I'm okay. Grandma wants to be here. Let her stay. You need to work. I don't want you to be tired. Anna's words hit me like a hammer. Despite battling her illness, she was still thinking of me, carrying a kindness I couldn't fathom. I looked at my mother, her eyes full of remorse, and knew Anna was right. She didn't want to hold on to grudges, and I couldn't deny her wish. All right, sweetheart, you rest, I said, my voice hoarse. Then I turned to my mother. But if you hurt Anna again, it'll be the last time you see us. From that day, my mother came to the hospital daily. She brought picture books, teddy bears, and even baked cookies for Anna. For the first time, I saw her treat Anna with a tenderness I'd never seen before. She sat by Anna's bed telling her stories of her youth, singing the lullabies she once sang to me. Anna, though fading, seemed to brighten with her grandmother nearby. Grandma tells good stories, Daddy, she said one evening, her smile faint but radiant. I looked at my mother and saw a different woman. Not the powerful, cold Susan, but a grandmother trying desperately to atone for her mistakes. She began calling Anna my dear, hugging her gently, even crying when she thought I wasn't looking. I knew she was trying, and part of me wanted to forgive her. But the pain lingered, and I wasn't sure I could fully open my heart. One afternoon, as the sunlight faded outside the hospital window, I heard a soft knock. I looked up expecting a nurse or doctor, but instead Emily and Thomas walked in, followed by their children, Lily, James, and Ethan. They carried colorful gift bags, sparkling balloons, and a large box wrapped in shimmering silver paper. Anna, lying under a thin blanket, lifted her head, her eyes brightening slightly despite her frail body. Milo, we heard about Anna, Emily said, her voice trembling. We wanted to visit her. Thomas, usually reserved, nodded, his eyes full of regret. I knew they had witnessed what happened at Anna's birthday. And perhaps, like my mother, they felt some responsibility for not speaking up when Anna was treated unfairly. Lily, the 8-year-old with blonde hair tied in a red ribbon, stepped to Anna's bedside, holding a beautiful doll in a sparkling dress. Anna, I picked this for you, she said shyly. I thought you'd like it. James and Ethan followed, placing a toy car and a colorful puzzle set by her bed. These are from us, James said, forcing a smile. You can play with us when you're better, okay? Anna looked at the gifts, then at me, as if asking if it was okay. I nodded, smiling encouragingly, and she slowly opened each package, her small hands trembling. Thank you, Lily, James, Ethan, she said, her voice weak but sincere. The doll is so pretty. And the car? I love it. I saw Emily's eyes well up, and Thomas turned to the window, pretending to hide his emotions. They stayed all afternoon, chatting with Anna and telling funny stories, hoping to ease her pain. For the first time, I saw Anna's cousins treat her like a true part of the family. Lily even sat beside her, helping her fit a few puzzle pieces together, while James made her giggle by mimicking a cartoon character. Anna, though exhausted, laughed softly, and in that moment a bit of warmth crept into my shattered heart. After her cousins left, Anna looked at me with a tired smile. Daddy, Lily said this doll can sing, she said, hugging it close. I'm going to name her Melody. I sat beside her, gently stroking her curly hair. Melody's a beautiful name, sweetheart, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. But inside, I couldn't stop thinking that these gifts, though meaningful, were just tiny lights in the storm Anna was facing. 6 months passed, 6 months in the hospital with countless pills, infusions, and thousands of needle pricks piercing her skin, but Anna's health kept declining. The treatments couldn't stop the disease's progression, and the doctor told me her time was running out. I spent every moment with her, holding her, telling stories, and promising I'd always be there no matter what. My mother was by Anna's side the most since her hospitalization, inseparable like a shadow. And I saw a change in her. She was no longer the biased, prejudiced woman. She loved Anna, truly loved her, but I knew and she knew that this realization came too late. One morning, Anna held my hand and my mother's, her eyes tired but still bright. "Daddy, Grandma, I love you," she whispered. "I'm not scared. I know Mommy's waiting for me." And then, like a small candle burning out, Anna left us, leaving a void nothing could fill. She passed peacefully with happiness. But for those left behind, like me and my mother, the pain was unbearable. At Anna's funeral, the sky was gray, a light drizzle falling. I stood by her small coffin, feeling my heart torn apart. My mother stood beside me, silently crying, holding a bouquet of white daisies Anna loved. As everyone left, she took my hand, her voice trembling. "Milo, I know I can't undo what I've done, losing Anna, and it's my punishment. I'll live the rest of my life with this regret for not loving her sooner." I said nothing, only nodded. The pain of losing Anna was too great, and I had no strength left to be angry at my mother. I just wanted to hold on to the beautiful memories of Anna, her smile, her laughter, and the kind heart of a 6-year-old who left me forever. I looked at her portrait one last time, the image etched into my soul. "Sweetheart, there's no more pain now. Be happy and smile a lot with your mommy up in heaven. I'll find you both soon. Wait for me."